Agenda 21. Agenda 21 30/50, 20/30/50 is a good sign because it's a lot of rebranding there. But it's because they were, well, I'll tell you let's go back to history. Not too far from here, its genesis was in Rio de Janeiro. And it was ECHO 1992. And that's where all the brainstorming happened. It was a great thing like Davos, like World Economic Forum. It was even bigger event. It was a lot of pompous and of the same politicians, alliances between, whenever I see that, I just boycott because I know what those meetings, the intention of those meetings, and it's not good for the common people. But it was celebrities and some religious celebrities and religion, just to add a little, and WEF does this too, just add a little bit of soul entertainment to the venues. But it started to be planned and brainstormed there. I boycotted it, at least the venues as an environmentalist. I boycotted it. I didn't believe it from the. I didn't believe in the event. Had no idea what was going to come from it. That Agenda 21 was going to be born, and I kind of just even forgot about it. I try to ignore those things, but in 2005, it just fell right into my lap. I thought it was dead, actually. But Al Gore, actually, my friend was chauffeur for Al Gore, and he said, oh, my friend's an environmentalist. And Al Gore gave him a couple keychains with, I don't know if it was governor or if it was senator. I don't know. He was, I think he was still campaigning for vice president or maybe Clinton hadn't even chosen him. So my friend gave me one of those keychains. So it was those types. And in 2007, actually, after that, Al Gore became very, very famous after the Supreme Court gave the election to Bush. Al Gore turned into a bearded hippie in Spain, and I believe he worked very, very hard on climate change and all that kind of stuff. He's was, if it's true or not, very well educated and what his intentions were, but he got rich on it. So about 2007, things really started, more people were thinking about those kind of things. And I think it revived the Agenda 21. It's not 30 yet. In 2005, we started our first off-grid community. We went up to looking for degenerated or devastated rainforest. We went up the mountain, and it was very, very devastated, which is okay. It's a challenge, but it was very strange. Why? There was no roads here, just like bad dirt road, full of mudslides, landslides. But we started our community. And it was tough. Brazil is a country, just like the United States, historical, demographical, geographical, immigrants, and some descendants of African slaves. There's still Indians here, so that's different. But it was a very rough place. So everything that happened in the United States sometimes happens 100 years after in Brazil. And this place, because of its isolation, no roads, was like the Wild West. with self-proclaimed sheriffs and everything. Because mountain people, and they have a right to be very distrustful of the state. It was like a state within a state. So there was no trash pickup. When I first got there, they were just throwing trash into a river. Okay, that was their trash deposit. Zero health services. The security, zero security. That's why there was sheriffs, self-proclaimed sheriffs. In education. In that micro region, there was one schoolhouse with 40 to 50 children and teenagers, because it was one class, one little, the size of a class, but they were all different ages. So precarious education. But we started working with the community social environmental project, and after many years, I gained the trust of the forest dwellers. Then one day, white vehicles go up because they built the asphalt road highway. So many people were going up. Trash pickup started to, but to get to the point, these white vehicles came, and we saw them. Everybody saw them, and they went upriver to a far city on the other side of the mountain range. But then they worked their way down. When they came, they had, who I believe was a friend of mine, Carlinhos. He was the chief. I didn't know these were UN people, okay? Because Agenda 21 is UN. And I also wasn't UN. I was being vetted, actually, by a medical doctor in order to, I volunteer. I'm a pro bono for, I guess, around a few years after that period. So I didn't know there were UN people, but a gentleman, Carlinhos, he's chief of the forestry. And he knew me from, and I knew him from the River Committee. So he comes to me and he says, listen, we are trying to create workshops. It's going to last a year, but these nuts are very hard to crack. I said, I know. It took me years. He said, but you seem to have a rapport with them, and can you help us set up these meetings? I said, what are they about? He said, they're about what you do, social, environmental, and environmental awareness, and promoting ecotourism, and creating you know, what the scientists say, that we need to create a forest economy through alternative. So I said yes, but with a little bit of suspect. And I set up, it took me a month to set up in all these villages, these 1-year workshops. And I made sure to go to the first one. When I went to the first one, it was, well, the first thing, it was very well educated. We're very well spoken, very professional crew in these white cars. And one of these, they all had this old-fashioned notebooks with the rings in it, and it's that thick. So, Agenda 21, but not totally evolved, because the way Agenda 2130 and 50 is a landmark goal year, because they were waiting for, you could read Jeremy Rifkin. I'm not sure if I said this, but the end of the world, I think I said that. So use that as a reference, because they were waiting for the third industrial revolution, i.e. automation, robotics, to implement. And they figure 2030, they keep on changing the date, which is seems like a positive for whoever is against that. But they knew that 50, all technology would be at a very, very high level. So anyways, I'm in this meeting, and they separate the woman, the mothers, from the fathers. Okay? Then very professional people. Small talk with the fathers, but I noticed a lot of things with the mothers. And they would ask them questions like, do your children, how many children do you have? Do your children have enough health services? And they knew that there wasn't enough health services. I don't know if I said this, but the first thing on the blackboard in this one school in the whole area, one of these professionals puts on the blackboard Agenda 21. But I stayed there and I observed and I listened. So these ladies, there were always ladies professionals talking to the mothers. Do your children are you happy with their education? They knew that no one in that mountain was happy with education. Where do you see your children in the future? So these, I don't have any proof, but these were well rehearsed professionals, maybe psychologists, okay? So before the end of the meeting, some of them were carrying this workbook of how to give workshops, okay? So I had Agenda 21 is real. Agenda 30 is real, and Agenda 50 is real. I had Agenda 21 in my hands since about 2010. It is real. And now today, I know what was on their mind. Some of it was written, very complicated, but some of it was there. But today we know that it's about removing. There's in that region, there's cattle ranchers that I was always having problems with, slash and burners, monoculture, poison, Roundup, goes down to the river. It was very difficult to create consciousness there. But they had the family farm too. Not organic until a couple years of our presence, but they have family farms. People have a right. They were there since the 1700s, for Christ's sakes, in this region. So, and everybody has a right to a farm or whatever they want to do, where they want to live. But what happened was that I realized, and not then, a couple years after, that what Agenda 30 expects, and for sure expects by Agenda 50, by 2050, is remove population from the rural areas, okay, for corporate control, okay? First of all, they want to concentrate people in the cities. Second, that's where the natural resources are at. So corporate needs natural resources. So in mining, for example, you got gold, you got uranium, you got lithium, you've got iron ore, and they want to plan all this for the benefit of corporations so they can save capitalism. And they want to control where people live. Hence, the professionals talking to the mothers, they were pressing all the right buttons, okay, to program their mind. Social engineering. If you guys want to, please do this. There's no time, I believe. Put on a search engine, social engineering on any search engine, and ask me more about it in the question and answer. But after you ask me specific questions, but that's what they were doing. They were already in that period doing a test run because 176 countries had not signed Agenda 21 until 2015. So this was like a test run, and this was what was happening. Okay, so what their intent, and I'm 100% sure of this, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can reference Dr. Zach Bush, a great regenerator, soil regenerator, a medical doctor, like my medical doctor friends, two friends that asked me to serve on the Human Rights Council because they say human rights has to do, gets people, river preservation gets people off their hospital. Most of them were hospital directors. So they actually agribusiness also, because they're going to do, and I know this already, they've got these drones. It's GMO and monoculture. GMO is monoculture. It's not agroforestry. It's not what I was teaching the forest dwellers back then. They want GMO is monoculture, and yeah, they want to get. They say they want to get rid of cattle ranching. Okay, that's cool, but not the family farmer. That's criminal. They want to control the soil that we grow our foods in the fashion that we want. They want to control the water because for decades, Coca-Cola, Nestle, major corporations and others have been buying springs. Okay, they sell water, which is also criminal. It's a human right. It shouldn't be sold. And they want to control what we eat. Okay, GMO. And I've already seen the drones. The drones, for example, there's one drone that actually, it's really ridiculous. It drops like ping pong balls, biodegradable ping pong balls with seeds in it. Okay? So automation, total robotics automation. There's another drone that goes through the rows of monoculture, and they see if the poisons that you use, the pesticide that they use, is working on they don't know the species, but they, just like facial recognition, they go, and they do this in a box. It's a box that has an antenna and a camera, and it attracts them with leaves or sugar or whatever, insects into this box. Well, their chemical pesticides didn't eliminate that species. The camera, and you need 5G for all this, does like geometrically, like facial recognition, and identifies what insect that is. So then the camera takes it straight to a laboratory, maybe Bayer or other laboratories, sub companies. And then they identify, before losing crop, they identify and they invent a new poison for that new species. So it's horrific what the agenda is. Let's call it what it is. It's an agenda. And I hope we can beat it. We need to beat it as a species, because sustainability that they talked back in Echo 92, that was in the book that's like a stick of the Bible. The good of mankind, the end of work, sustainability, my ass. They want to, they don't want to save the planet. They want to use it in corporate hands as much as possible to save capitalism in the short term and screw what happens to our bodies, to the planet, and that's what it's all about. Now, don't take my word for it. I'm not a PhD. I'm a frontline environmentalist and an activist. So, but check out, because I got friends that study with Dr. Shiva in India and in Africa, and check out her work against these petrochemical companies and other companies. Check out her work, Dr. Chiva and Dr. Zach Bush, because they, as I and other friends of mine and colleagues from the River Committee, that we really care about the environment, they discovered, as we discovered, and others in other parts of the world, the same thing, and it wasn't written down in university books. It's something that all of us discovered in the field, and it's happening. It's real.